Hello, everybody. My name's James, and welcome to the penultimate podcast of Planet FPL Correspondent Week. And I'm joined by the Championship champion. Let me introduce you to our Leicester City correspondent. It's Aaron Lagor. How are you, Aaron?
Good, thanks, James. Thanks for having me again.
You're very welcome, my friend. Before we get into all the Leicester stuff about the season ahead, I know you want to have a brief word about Craig Shakespeare. Sort of floor is yours. Obviously, sadly passed away very recently.
Yeah, it did come as a bit of a shock. It's been widely reported that he's not been well, and he's been having treatment for cancer, and it all went relatively quiet on that front. I guess, from the outside looking in, it looked like maybe things might have been improving for him, but it clearly has taken a really sorry turn, and just really sad for his family. And obviously, he's a massive part, and will always be a massive part of our history. Um, not only getting us back into the Premier League after being out of it for so long, but going on to do the impossible, which everybody knows about, really. So he was a massive, massive part of that, and he'll be sorely missed, not only by us but the football community. I think he was. Well, I've listened to a lot of podcasts recently since his death, and the glowing references about him, and how much of a good guy he was, and such a gentleman. And yeah, it's a very um, sad, to lose him, and wish
Yeah,
his family all the
it,
best.
it's very well said, mate. It really was a shocker to the football community. I mean, the age he's passed away at is unfortunate. There's no age whatsoever. Was obviously assistant manager to the title winning side, and then was manager by the time he would have led you out in the Champions League quarter final, wouldn't he? Obviously had some
That's right.
spells at other clubs as well. Very highly rated. Everybody kind of come out with glowing praise for what he was as a human and a coach. So yeah, a really sad loss, and obviously particularly to your football club, Aaron.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's talk what's ahead for you. This is a real change of tact. Does it start with a points deduction, Aaron?
Well, we've had discussions about it before, haven't we? And there's still speculation about it, but there's nothing set in stone yet. I'm hoping that it's kind of out in the open
Forgotten.
before
I was going to
we
say
start.
forgotten.
But
I've
yeah,
forgotten about it.
but that'd be nice. Unfortunately, somehow I don't think that's going to be the case, but we can live in hope, can't we? No, I just feel like it's been going on for a little while, and why hasn't anything been announced yet? It feels like it could have been by now. I'm hoping it's done before the start of the season. It's always one of those things, and obviously some of the other clubs have gone through this the last couple of seasons with points deductions and things, and it just, you know, it sort of disrupts the whole flow of the club and things, and you just don't know where you stand. You get Everton, what was it, 8 points, and then down to 6 points, or 6 points down to 4 points. They're making it up as they go along, it seems, and they need to set a precedent for all this sort of stuff, and then there's a bit more clarity on it. But it just feels as if, I mean, we'll probably do well to get 6 points reduction, with everything that you've read about with our overspending, and how much we've gone over with PSR and stuff. So I guess we'll see, but nothing's come out of it yet. So, but yeah, that's what we're expecting.
Yeah, look, we don't know. I think Everton and Forest fans would exactly agree with what you said. It almost feels like they're making it up on the spot, and I'm sure whatever the punishment is for yourselves is going to feel like that. I would add to say, for clarity, it feels like a near certainty that there will be a points deduction. For clarity for people, you're charged with offences from 2 years ago in the Premier League, which obviously is why Everton ended up with two charges last year, one for that season and then obviously one for the next one. Yours is hanging, couldn't be punished or charged in the EFL, though a lot of the EFL clubs obviously wanted you to get charged, you didn't get promoted and stuff. And there's counterclaims of, oh, they should have got deducted points, but right, Everton didn't get done for that season, but they did get done obviously last season on the points deduction because of that. So we know it's coming for you.
Yeah,
Premier League, come on, get on
yeah,
with it. You've known for over a year. This should have been put in place that it's like when Leicester City get re-promoted to the Premier League, they will start on -6, whatever. If that had been you didn't come up for 10 years, whenever you come up, right, you're going to start on one. Get on with it. It's not fair on anybody. It's not fair on other clubs. I mean, if this is something that goes on really late again, I don't understand. But my understanding was that you probably would get an announcement before the season started. And therefore, just to timestamp this, we are pre-recording on Thursday evening.
yeah.
But it does sound like you might be right, Aaron. -6 might even be a result.
Yeah, it does feel that way. From everything that I've read and listened to about it all, we've not just gone over these regulations. We've absolutely obliterated them. And I think maybe the thing that might go against us even further is the fact that I don't think we've actually gone to the Premier League and said, fair enough, we've made a mistake here. But they've been quite
Okay.
bullish about it. They've been quite bullish about it, which makes you feel as if I don't know. I don't know who's advising them. I don't know what they're thinking with this all, but whether that will be more of an issue and they'll slap us with something even bigger. Who knows? Who knows? But we'll have to see.
It's going to be hard enough to stay up as it is, mate.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's going to very much put you on the back foot. Um, there's been management change as well. Obviously, Enzo Maresca went. Your reaction to that in the first instance?
Initially, when I heard the news, I was pretty gutted, actually. That was my overriding feeling at the time. And the longer pre-season's gone on, feel sort of like it's been a real blow, not only for losing him, but the way that it's kind of destabilized the rest of the players. I mean, obviously, we've now lost our best player from last year, who's going to take some replacing. Not that we'd have expected, him to do what he did in the Championship and the Premier League this season, but he is a big part of why we were so successful last year. Just feels like you've ripped the heart out of the team by that. But I think the disappointment with Maresca going is not only did we obviously put a lot of faith in him when we brought him in, it was a risk, a calculated one, which obviously has paid off. But it's the fact that we kind of cleared the decks for him, gave him everything that he wanted, brought in all his own staff and everything, and then he gets us up, which is fantastic. But it's just that's it. He's gone, and all his staff have gone, and we've had to not only rebuild, bring in a new manager, but also the backroom staff as well. So yeah, it's difficult to see how we're really going to progress from here. Really,
He was always going to take it, wasn't he? It's the reality. We
yeah.
discussed this earlier in the week with Paul that if Chelsea had decided it was Kieran McKenna probably would have gone. So I think that was inevitability. It also feels like you were unprepared. Maybe we might talk about that in a sec.
Mm.
How do you expect him to get on at Chelsea? Because I mean, you won't have heard it yet, but Gary's podcast is not glowing at the moment in terms of what Chelsea have seen in pre-season.
I look forward to hearing that. I've not got around to hearing Gary's opinion on it yet,
Well, I
but
warn people now there is swearing in the intro, and that's the only time that happens this
oh.
week.
It's always good value, isn't it, Gary?
Yes.
I do think that it's very hard to say. I mean, he's obviously got his philosophy, so he needs to stick to his principles. And I mean, the Chelsea job's a difficult one because it's such a basket case of a club anyway. We all know that. It feels as if they were really going in the right direction under Pochettino towards the end of the season, and you finally think that they've got it together, and then he's out the door, and they bring in a manager who, with respect to the Championship, has got a side that is obviously highest wage bill in the Championship, and feel as if that we're obviously major favourites, and he's got us champions, but there were some sort of rocky moments in there as well. So
You told us, yeah.
yeah, um, So it's difficult to know how that's gonna go. But yeah, you're right in what you're saying. He did need, a job like that comes up, you'd be daft not to take it. He's probably tripled his wages. He goes there, and if it doesn't work out, it still won't damage his reputation too much, because that's just Chelsea for you, isn't it, in that respect? But I mean, I kind of wish him all the best, really. I mean, he's obviously done his job for us. It's a shame that he couldn't have given it a go in the Premier League with us. But yeah, we'll have to see how it goes at Chelsea, won't we?
Steve Cooper is your new manager. Thoughts?
I think initially when I heard the news, I felt very underwhelmed. I think, like a lot of Leicester City supporters, we did feel quite underwhelmed. I think it was mainly coupled up with the fact that it looked, reports in the media was saying how close Potter was. And I think maybe we'd thought at that point Potter was pretty much over the line. So we'd all convinced ourselves that he was going to be the man. I mean, he went really short in the betting. So it looked like it was a done deal. And then literally 24 hours later, Cooper's appointed as manager. So it felt, I didn't know what to feel at the time. I was very conflicted, because I think coming away from it, I've obviously read up about Cooper, and maybe he is more suited to what we're going to be coming up against this season. But yeah, it felt as if he was third choice amongst the contenders that we were going for. Obviously, Potter being one. It felt to me like Potter was never really going to happen. He knew how much we wanted him. I mean, we spoke on a pod about when Rodgers got sacked, and they literally tried to hire him. I think he'd just been relieved of his duties at Chelsea, and they literally tried to hire him 24 hours later. I mean, they've been chasing him for a little while, but I think there was quite a bit of red tape involved to try and get him over the line. Whether it was contract issues with Chelsea still going on, some of his staff are still tied up at Chelsea. There's reports of things, but I mean, you believe what you can. But yeah, it did feel a bit kind of, well, we've settled for Cooper because we couldn't get the other two that we really wanted. I mean, Carlos Corberán was obviously in the running as well, but I think it was quite a hefty amount of money to get him out of his contract at West Brom, and we haven't got a lot of it at the moment, have we? So I think that was never going to happen either, unfortunately.
It doesn't feel like the club picked Cooper over Potter on the outside. It doesn't feel that way. It feels like Potter probably had talks and for one reason or another said no. That could have been, yeah, I'm quite interested. Do you think you're in for a points deduction? Yeah, probably do actually. Oh, I don't want that. And it might have been then a realization from the football club that what I think you already alluded to, you need to maybe look at something different. Is that what you meant by that comment?
As in Cooper being a bit more pragmatic?
Well, in terms of you said a manager to deal with what we got to come up against now.
Yeah, as in this season, with a lot of the games are going to be, we're going to have us back to the wall in a lot of matches. We might have to play a little bit more on the counter and things like that. So who knows? But yeah, maybe they've just looked at it all and thought, well, he's probably the best of what we've got available. So let's go for him. I mean, obviously, I wish him the best of luck. Now he's in charge. We have to back him. And we've got to be behind him, because he's going to need the support. The players are going to need the support this season. That's for sure. But it's one of those. I think if it doesn't get off to a relatively decent enough start, and things look like they're unraveling a little bit, the writing could be on the wall quite early. And I think that's in more relation to the fact that, and I mean, I don't think this, but obviously some of the supporters with the Forest connections and stuff,
I was going to ask, yeah,
that could be a stick to beat him with. I think if things go a little bit sour relatively early. So
how big is the Leicester Forest rivalry?
Depends who you speak to, really.
Let me ask the question differently. What's the biggest game for Leicester as a rivalry?
It probably is Forest. Yeah,
that's what I thought you was going to say.
Yeah, it is.
Although they might say they would probably say Derby.
Yeah,
exactly. I would have thought so.
Yeah.
because I don't think I've not heard an outpouring of rage because they loved Cooper. It's worth saying, right?
Yeah.
Mark Subbins would have obviously heard, loved the relationship they had. I think he thought it was probably right that it had to end when it did. And then you did hear stuff afterwards about, there was stuff behind the scenes that maybe wasn't quite right for quite a while.
Mm.
But I didn't hear an outpouring from Forest fans of, oh, you traitor, you went to Leicester, that's our rivals. No, but I do think it could become a stick of, well, you got sacked at Forest. So what you're going to be good enough for us? We were playing Champions League football 8, 9 years ago. And I know you're not that sort of club really, but the
No,
reality
yeah.
is you did. Oh, and now
Yeah.
we're taking the manager who was sacked by Nottingham Forest.
It
I
feels
think,
like him getting the job, he's starting on the back foot rather than the front foot.
yeah, I think the club might have a real understanding. For all we know, they might have an understanding of how bad this points deduction may or may not be. We don't know. They may have been given a heads up. And it might be they've gone, okay, we've got to get someone in here who's going to firefight this. But I also think at the same time that the football club really changed what it was doing with the appointment it made last year. When you point a Pep Guardiola assistant, I think you've identified what you want to be in terms of your playing style as a football team, right? Cooper's miles from that.
Mm.
And I can't shake that. I can't shake the feeling that with the three clubs that come up, you're all going to find it quite difficult. Russell Martin ideally would like to play an open brand of football. Kieran McKenna appears like what everyone's telling me is he's going to be the strong point here to Ipswich. I almost feel with some of the attacking players you've got, particularly in the wide areas and stuff, even though you've lost Dewsbury-Hall, that would you have been better off getting someone like an Iriola or something from overseas that we can't see that would have been more on brand within keeping with Maresca's style? It feels like, well, you had a good year of that. We played some beautiful football in the championship. Actually, this is who we're going to be. No, we're not going to be that anymore. We're just gonna fight to stay up. And his teams can play good football, but not to the level of intricacies that you would have seen from Maresca. Chelsea fans might think that those intricacies become too much, by the way. But it just feels like a wild change of tact because you've been successful. You're not appointing a manager after a period of failure. You're not like, 17th and fighting to stay up, like when obviously Dean Smith got the job and things like that. You're
Mm.
appointing from a period where the football clubs had success. So why would you appoint something that's nothing like the success that you've had? And I realize the opponents you're going to have is very, very different. But I also don't think the two teams coming up with you are hugely strong. You would have been better off, in my opinion, going with the path of playing in a similar way. Because
Mm.
now it feels like we'll rip up the script. I'll tell you, I played Leicester. Leicester played last year. It's a waste of time, isn't it?
Mm. I mean, it does seem from some of the friendly games, he's been trying to um he's been trying to tweak it rather than actually completely put his style onto it because he knows that we've been successful last year and in parts of the season we played some really good stuff. So yeah, I like to think that he can evolve it. But I guess we'll have to see because it depends on how, signings, all this sort of stuff comes into it. But it depends. I mean, does he go? I remember when he was at Forest. Obviously, he came up and he wanted to try and play in a certain way, and it wasn't working. And they took a few hidings, didn't they? One being at our place, and then from that point, he kind of changed tact and went very more pragmatic, and it worked. It worked for him,
Yes.
didn't it? They stayed up. So does he kind of go into the season with that kind of remit of, right, I'm going to try and see if we could do this in the right way, but if it's clearly not going to work, we're going to have to go back to pragmatic style and hit people on the counter. I guess we'll see. And it's been very difficult to actually pick that out in pre-season on how he's trying to do things because he's been quite experimental with some of the formations and stuff. So I mean, I think for all intents and purposes, he wants to play more of like a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. But he's played a 4-4-2. He's played 4-2-3-1. He's played,
We've seen
um,
Forest play back fives, so that could certainly happen.
yeah, yeah. So it's a difficult one. Like you say, I think it is very much a change from Maresca, and only time will tell whether that will be a good thing or not.
Listen, it may work. I don't want to poo-poo it. He's a very, very highly rated coach. And I think there was stuff, like I said, behind the scenes that meant that probably should have left Forest earlier. And I understand because the relationship with the fans, that's why he stayed longer than he did. Fresh start, new place, it may go very, very well. And it might be that you play really good football. It might be that you play really good football and go down. It might be you play really shit football and stay up. I'm just concerned as a neutral. My opinion would be that's a massive change of the profile of manager that you're appointing. But you know, I think after the first year he kept Forest up and stuff. He was being linked with the England job and stuff. It's interesting that obviously he'd already been appointed with you, but I wonder if the England job was available if he'd be massively being linked with it at the moment. I don't think he particularly would be, actually. It's interesting, despite his
No,
experience of managing lower class England age groups.
he's good with younger players as well, isn't he? Which could be a good thing for us. We've got some youngsters there, and he'll give people a chance, hopefully. But if his remit's to stay in the league, which it obviously is going to be, the pressure's there. Does he have time to do that? It's going to be difficult. It's a really difficult job for him.
Oh yeah,
Like I
definitely.
say, wish him
Like,
all the best. But
yeah, no, I've got nothing against him. I don't envy him, particularly if this point seduction happens and stuff. Your best player gone, except he's walking in there and he's starting on the back foot, which is going to
yeah,
be really tough. So listen,
yeah.
it'll be some achievement, frankly, if he gets you out of this, if the point seduction comes as well. With that in mind, what's the expectation here? Is it like you would snap my hand off for 17th as it stands?
Yes. That's not both your hands off.
Go on, we'll do it now while we're covering it because this is quite interesting. How many of the correspondents think you will stay up?
Probably just me.
No, I to be honest, I'm really surprised with this 7.
Really?
Yeah, I'd say what I think it is as well. I think there's the 3 clubs obviously all come up, got promoted last year, and I think we've had a psyche of that won't happen again, and you're the best team that came out of that league.
Mm,
But the
yeah,
circumstance, if you're starting behind on the points, is
yeah,
bad. It's
it's
bad.
bad.
So there you go, bit of confidence for you. 7 of the guys think will stay out. It's worth saying. I think there's a number of there's just as many have predicted you to finish bottom. So
Mm,
there's a little bit of a split in there. But on the table, the correspondence as it stands would give you the best chance of the 3 promoted clubs to stay up. And I get that because there are some very talented footballers there, mate. And
mm.
it might feel a bit doom and gloom despite promotion, which is quite unusual. You know what Ricky Saunders would say if he was sitting here? Dr. Tottenham will see you now, mate, because that's game 1 on the Monday night. Can see how this ends already. What you met at the fixture list, mate?
Well, the opening 6 are a bit of a mixed bag, aren't they? Obviously, yourselves in Gameweek 1 on the Monday night. I mean, that's going to be difficult. I'm very worried about that match.
You'll have
Uh,
chances. That's what I'm gonna
well,
say.
there's that, but you certainly will as well. So, and you've got the better finishers. So, I think it could be a difficult night for us, the first game. But I mean, then we've got kind of Fulham, Villa at home. I mean, it's really not an easy start, is it? No game's easy. We know
No,
that.
I mean Paul said that it's 38 tough games, right?
Of course it is. Yeah, yeah. And we're under no illusions how difficult the season's going to be. But I guess the first game is a bit of a free hit. But if we get beaten badly, that will set a bad tone for the start of the season, and we don't want that. So I can see it being. I can see Cooper trying to keep it tight, really. But it's going to be difficult, especially against yourselves. So should be an interesting game, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed match. I mean, if you're going to beat sides like Tottenham and Villa, you're more likely to do it probably at the start of the season than perhaps in the middle of the season. Fulham and Palace away. I mean, these sort of away games look tough for my team now. I feel like. Never mind
With
like a promoted team. Everton at home 5, then you go to the Emirates in 6. Then there's some nice ones. Bournemouth at home, Southampton away, Forest at home, Ipswich away. So you've got the 2 promoted clubs have come up with you.
Yeah, that
There's
run in
2
7 to 10
consecutive
is
away
okay.
games.
Yeah, yeah.
Feels really important. And you play United, Chelsea, and then there's a few more decent ones: Brentford, West Ham, Brighton. It's not terrible. Listen, you've got to play all these teams at some point. One thing it's worth saying is you don't play Liverpool or Manchester City till game week 18. You play Liverpool. Game week 19, play Manchester City. So if you're looking at a longer term, just by that alone, I think Leicester's fixtures will show up quite well. You could have some interest there. I don't think that fixture list is too bad for you at all. There is a danger that those 4 games are tough enough that there's not a lot out of it.
Mm.
And again, sorry to rehash the same statement, but if you're sitting there on -6 and then it's still -6 at the end of it or something, it starts feeling like a really long way up. Then that set of green fixtures, it's like, oh, I hope we win 1 or 2 of them. Start thinking need to start winning nearly all of them, right? Puts real pressure on. Okay. Talk to me about Mr. Talisman up front, Mr. Jamie Vardy, mate. Is he fit? First question.
No, he's been injured
It's a sigh
since.
of relief. He definitely would have scored against us, mate.
Well, he might be back, but
I'll leave off.
it's looking a long shot at this stage. But he the first ever game we had in pre-season was behind closed doors, and he played in that, but he's been injured since, and he's not played a minute. So it's not looking likely that he's going to be fit for the start of the season unless he miraculously brings it around. But I mean, we really need him because we're so light up top now. Now we've lost Iheanacho, who's obviously gone on a free. And Daka really isn't good enough for this league. I mean, he wasn't really good enough for the Championship, so he hasn't scored since February. He looks so low on confidence. So we really need to buy. I mean, obviously we've got Cannon there as well, who he looks a bit of a decent prospect, but he's not really being used as much as I thought he might be. It's even Daka was preferred in the Championship under Maresca. So yeah, we need Vardy back. But the thing is, we knew this going into this season that we can't be relying on him anymore. He did wonders for us again last year, but he can't keep going on like this. We can't expect him to be playing 38 games this season.
No,
So
and it's really difficult for him to even think of being a 90-minute player now as well for you. Particularly, the pace of the game's about to go up another level for you as well, right? More time without the ball obviously
exactly,
makes it much harder as well.
yeah.
It's obviously been I guess he falls into category of I presume probably your greatest ever player. Tom Cannon's interesting though, isn't it? You spent what 8 million on him from Everton last
Mm,
summer, which is a substantial amount to pay for a forward in the Championship. And I presume that was a lot on, well, Vardy needs help and Daka and Iheanacho will probably go. And then everyone stayed and he didn't get much of a look in.
mm.
What's his chances of minutes game week 1 then? Is this the 4.5 forward? If people are looking for that they should go for?
No, no, I don't
Your
think so.
correspondents have been you've been great, but in the same way, you've all been a bit shit this week as well, actually. No one's got 15 players, I don't think.
And I don't think there's a decent 4.5 forward, is there, or one that's going to be likely to sort of get decent minutes, really. Um, I think with him that there are reports that they were looking to sort of send him out on loan and stuff, but I mean, you can't do that if you've only got Daka that's the only fit striker to start the season. So,
Can you spend? Do we know this or not?
well, I mean, we have bought some players in, so probably not household names or anything,
I
but
let me put it a different way. If you want to get a quality forward, you're not really getting it for what you paid for Tom Cannon anymore,
no.
unless you really take a gamble on something from a lower European league, for example. Like, so can you go double that and buy someone from a French league, for example, or something like that?
I really don't know. I'd like to think we can, but I really don't have the answer to that. Only they know, but I would say it's unlikely. So it looks like Daka's probably going to start the season, which
5 million
is,
forward.
yeah, don't go there.
Okay. I presume you'll find chances easier to come by against my team than he does many others. But I think if people put him in, probably wouldn't be starting him. He'd be going in Zate for Taka. By the time you've done that, I don't know. Are you
Do you
just
know
going for
how many big chances we missed last season? And I know there's more games and stuff like that.
go on first a stat?
82.
You missed 82 big chances last year.
Yeah.
How many were Daka? Do you know?
About 40 probably.
I watched a game at Plymouth that night, and yeah,
Sticks out.
he
Yeah,
was having an absolute nightmare, unfortunately.
it was.
Which is a shame because when he first showed up, he showed a lot of promise. Actually, maybe he's a typical player, Aaron. He just needs that one to go in off his bum, mate, and he's off.
Definitely a confidence player, that's for sure.
I
Yeah.
suspect that's not the case. So, okay, not confident of Daka getting minutes. Tom Cannon's 4.5 might go. So Vardy's possibly injured. Aaron, you can see where I've got concerns here for you, mate, I think. Talk to me about
Hmm.
Mavididi and Fatawu, both in at 5.5. These are two really talented players, right?
Yeah, I'd really love to put one of them in. And first draft, I kind of put Fatawu in. But the longer the preseason has gone on and how, how we're just not looking like we're ready for the start of the season with the games. I can't do it to myself, unfortunately. He's a very exciting player, and I think there'll be times in the season when you'll want to own him, and Mavididi as well. To be fair, the thing is that Mavididi's got going for him is that if Vardy isn't on the pitch, he's likely to take penalties. So,
Okay.
and he's pretty decent at them as well. So that's one to kind of jot down. Um, and they're both good. They're both will start most weeks. And if we're going to get any type of attacking returns, then they will be involved. So yeah, they'll be tempting at stages. I think they're priced right. Um, but yeah, no doubt I'll have them in at some point of the season. But yeah, they're ones to watch. I don't think I'd go in on them now, but yeah, keep an eye on them.
Yeah, one of them might become really interesting, I think. It's probably one to, yes, have a look first during the course of the season. I think with your club as well, and this applies to Ipswich, I think, as well. Not so much to Southampton, but with Ipswich, I think it applies. We don't know what you're going to do and what you're not. Like, there's probably going to be some more bodies coming here somewhere, and that's
Mm.
potentially going to have an impact of minutes, for example, on these two. But I would suggest if those are your two wide players, based on what I watched, particularly that night against Southampton towards the end of the season, they'll be fine for you, mate. They're good. They're good players. They can cause trouble. I
Yeah.
think you might need someone in between them who's going to finish chance and stuff. But two good, intelligent footballers, they'll chip in. They're worth keeping an eye on. I don't think that either of the 5.5 to start with, though. I think there are
No,
clear better targets, I think,
I agree. I
to start
mean,
with.
the other thing that we should be worried about is that if it's not them that are going to be providing goals and assists, then where else are they coming from? Because I mean, we've got Winks and Ndidi in there, but we don't really have a natural number 10 if he's going to play a 4-2-3-1. Lack of striker. I mean, it does seem a bit of a lack of creativity in there. So, not only have we lost, Dewsbury-Hall, who's a big part of the engine room of that midfield, but lost all his goals and assists from last season. So that's a massive hole to fill for us. So that's why I wouldn't go anywhere near him to start with, because, like you say, there could be players coming in. I don't know how Cooper's going to set us up. So, but they're very quick and tricky and will be great on the counter. So if we're going to set up, pragmatically and hit people on the break, then they could be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. To be honest, actually, that style of football might well suit them in terms of the space that they can have. But they're also creative as well. I particularly felt Mavididi has got the eye for the pass and the cross as well. Actually,
Yeah, he's very
um,
good, Mavididi. And the one thing I would say, sorry, James, is that he worked with Cooper as well. I
okay.
heard Cooper say in an interview that he worked with him at England, so he obviously knows him quite well. So that might go for him as well. So I just thought I'd get that in there.
No, no, cool. I just think on what you're saying now, it does sound like a struggle for goals. I mean, I might, well, I say might, I probably am going to bench boost in game week one. Treble Tottenham defence, Aaron.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it seems like every man and his dog's got Porro, including myself. So he's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't he? But yeah, I mean, possibly. If Vardy's out and we've not signed anyone before
Genuinely looking at me and having a serious conversation here about treble Tottenham defence in game week one. I know I'm stupid,
What a
but
hero.
there's a could you imagine it? I've bench boosted with Vicario, Porro, and Van der Ven on my bench or something. Oh gosh, no, no. Two's not beyond impossibility if Destiny could get himself fit. But I will be honest, I'd be looking to get 3 Tottenham in. I think for what you're saying, I'd have to, wouldn't I? But it would probably be more too offensive up front. Where
Yeah.
does Bobby De Cordova-Reid fit into this at the same price? It's a good experienced player.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's obviously come in. He's going to be a decent addition. I think that the nice thing about him, he can play anywhere across the front, really, can't he? And even up top as well, if we need him up there. Experienced, knows his way around the league. Um, good player. I think Fulham probably didn't really want to get rid of him particularly, but he's 31 now. We offered him a 3-year deal. I think it's just he had to take it really. They've obviously offered him a decent amount of money. So, but yeah, I think he'll come in and it'll, give the other guys that we've just spoken about a bit of, know-how with the league and stuff. But he may even be starting in Gameweek 1 the way things are going. So
We can play as a centre forward.
yeah,
You'd be a bit concerned for him. I think if he was isolated, you need someone close to him. But he's multifunctional. He can play a number of different positions. And he certainly played it, not often for Fulham, but I'd certainly played that role earlier in his career. So, I mean, it wouldn't be great for Daka's confidence if De Cordova-Reid got picked to start there ahead of him. That's not going to help anymore if you need to rely
no,
on him later. But
no. And he's used Daka a lot in pre-season as well, with
okay,
Vardy being out. So it's looking likely that probably Daka will start the season.
okay.
Mm.
Your highest owned player in FPL is Harry Winks. And I must say, the ownership is on the increase at 11.8%. Pivotal to Enzo Maresca's system. Do you think he'll be pivotal to Cooper's?
Yes. Yes.
People think at the moment he's the best 4.5 in the game in terms of certainty for minutes. Is he even the best 4.5 million midfielder at Leicester?
Who else you got in mind?
Well, Hamza Chowdhury, no?
Oh no, no.
You've shat all over that,
Sorry,
haven't
mate. No, it's Chowdhury. He comes in and does a job for us, but he's more of a squad player. So no, definitely not. Winks his first choice and will be unless he's injured. So yeah, I mean, I can see the appeal there. If you want just a guy that's going to sit on the bench and can come on for a 2-pointer, then he's your man. And there's not really a lot at that price range other than the guy that you've been speaking about at your place. But he's obviously an unknown to the league at the moment, isn't he? So yeah, Winks will start 100%.
Someone's not happy that I've been pronouncing his name wrong. I don't care. He's my player. I call him what I want. That's Mr. Lucas Bergval. All right, try again then. Boubakary Soumaré.
I don't know why he's still at the club, to be honest with you. He's like a
I'm not
yeah.
going to win this battle, am I? That if you want Harry Winks, I think what Aaron's saying is there's a certainty for minutes there. I think there's some others that can be considered from other clubs as well. I would be a little bit cautious about that ownership number, as per the discussion about Taylor Harwood Bellis on the Southampton podcast. And I think we can move the conversation on and say similar about Wout Faes at 8.9% ownership. Of your 4.0 defenders, Aaron, is Mr. Faes the best choice?
God, I mean, it's very.
You're inspiring here, aren't you, mate? Big
I would,
Aaron
I
saying,
would not
put your
go anywhere
Haaland
near him.
captaincy in the bin.
I wouldn't go anywhere near him. No, I mean he's going to start for us, but that's a worry in itself. To be honest with you, I mean he's a really divisive character. I mean we've had many conversations about him, haven't we? And the comparisons to Sideshow Bob and things like that. And yeah, I think that he would be a worry for me. Him and Vestergaard look like they're probably going to start the season in a back four. And I mean, yeah, just screams a Son hat trick in Gameweek 1, doesn't it?
When we spoke after promotion, you said you thought Vestergaard wouldn't be here now.
I didn't think he would. I was really surprised. I mean, I think he signed his contract with us before Maresca left, and I don't know whether if Maresca would have left before that, whether he would have got that deal. To be honest with you, because obviously I think Maresca saw him as a big part of his plans. So that's probably the reason he's still here. But I mean, he's certainly earned that contract. Don't get me wrong. I don't think I was just surprised because I thought that Maresca would evolve the back four into a different animal, going up to obviously a higher standard of league and stuff. And for what Vestergaard does bring in many qualities, he's obviously lacks in certain others. One being pace, and if you've got no pace as a centre back in this league, then you do need someone alongside you that's going to cover you. And Faes isn't the quickest either.
Or
So
maybe you need a more pragmatic manager.
there you go. Exactly. Yeah,
Is Vestergaard a likely starter or not?
I would say so. Yes, I
Okay.
would. Yeah, I mean, I would. I think, especially when we've got the ball and we're attacking, I think that they may shuffle into more of a back three. So then, if Vestergaard will be in the middle of that, so he'll have people either
To
side of him
protect him as well, basically. Yeah.
to protect him. I mean, he's very good on the ball and stuff. I mean, he can spray passes. He's got a decent range of pass, and he tries to punch into midfield and stuff. So he's got qualities, but yeah, you do need someone alongside him that's going to really help him out when he's going the other way. So yeah.
What's the prospects do we know at this stage for Caleb Colley, young Italian under 21
Early, yeah.
international, I think you bought, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems to me like he's been brought in more for maybe cover with the
Okay.
intention of if he gets in and does well and looks like he could be an answer there, then he might become first choice. But we'll have to see. He's young. He's only had, I think he was on loan at Frosinone in Italy from Atalanta. But by all intents and purposes, he had a decent season there. So I think he's a player that's got a little bit of scope to progress. So I guess we'll see with him.
Okay. Um, the idea a couple of years ago of James Justin and Ricardo Pereira being at 4.5 would have had people having wet dreams all summer. I think we'd have been going double
Including
Leicester,
yourself.
possibly. We'd have been going double Leicester defence a couple of years ago under that circumstance.
Yeah.
Um, any consideration here? And I take it, are they your starting fullbacks?
Well, Pereira for sure. He'll
Yeah.
start at right back. Um,
Don't tell me James Justin's injured.
no, he's not. He's not
Okay.
injured. No, no, no. Oh, thank God he's not injured. He should start at left back, in my opinion. But in the last,
Christensen's an option.
Christensen is back from loan. Yeah, and it looks like he may use him. But I mean, if it was down to me, I think this is the thing. We've got a game on Saturday that will tell us a lot.
Of course.
So we'll see who he picks there. But for me, it would be Justin at left back, Pereira right back. Now I will say about Pereira, he has struggled pre-season. He's looked a bit off it, to be fair. And I don't know whether this is down to the fact that he obviously was great for us last year, inverting as a fullback and playing a deeper role with Winks. So whether he's just trying to find his feet again, playing in a slightly different position, I don't know. But he's been at fault for a few of the goals in pre-season and stuff. So keep an eye on him with that. But yeah, Justin's probably better at. I mean, they can both do it where they can tuck in as a three at the back and also go forward. So I think that's the way they should go. And at least with Justin, if he's going to be the one that sits in with the three, he's got a lot more pace, so he can cover Vestergaard on that side. So
Got lost for a moment there. We were talking about Ricardo Pereira struggles. I'm thinking about Heung-min Son in Gameweek 1, mate.
yeah, no. I mean, I've had Son in a few of my drafts
Oh
actually.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. He's not in it currently now, but I am tempted.
Who are you intending to captain Gameweek 1, just out of interest?
Probably Isak.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends if I go with Salah or not. If at the moment I've not got Salah in, so I guess we'll see. But
I haven't
yeah.
I haven't done this all week. What do you think the score will be when you play Tottenham?
Um, I think it could be like 3-1, 4-1. It could be a bit of a battering. I feel like we're very undercooked this pre-season. So
I just mean it
if you're
respectfully. I
not,
listen to you.
yeah,
Yes, it sounds it.
mm,
It does sound that way at the moment. And I wonder if things like that will make a bit of a surge for something like Sonny when we look, oh, is Palmer going to play? Is Foden going to play? These sort of things.
mm, mm.
Yeah. And what you're saying about Pereira, once you link it all together, why am I ignoring Sonny? Oh, his game week 2 fixtures all right as well and stuff like that.
And it's a good price. It's a really good price. I mean, the fact that I think I was listening to a pod somewhere, and he's at 10. Everybody else has come up to his level, but he's still stayed the
He's still
same.
there.
He's still there. Yeah, it's very tempting. I don't really want to go to the game on the Monday night, having him in the team, knowing that it'd be very, very difficult watch for me, regardless. Anyway, but
I mean, Aaron, let's get it out. Like the last time I was at the King Power, you won 4-1, right? And Aaron, right, I'm walking out the ground. Me and my dad and Ricky Saunders are arguing about how shit Tottenham have been. And this bastard, Aaron Lagor, he peeks up like he's been standing there waiting for us. Oh, can I walk with you, lads?
Honestly, I couldn't have
Proper
timed it any
wanker.
better. Yeah.
I'll see you
Uh,
on Monday week, Aaron.
yeah.
Before I do, I must ask you about these two magnificent goalkeepers you've got, Daniel Weaverson and Danny Ward.
Yeah, I thought that was what you're going to open with. Which 4.0 goalkeeper do you want?
I thought I'd save it for the end, mate.
I mean, the well, Stolarczyk, who was our backup last season, is out for 6 months.
Okay.
So the backup will probably likely be Danny Ward. So if anything happens to Hermansen, we're in serious trouble.
I have seen you
Serious
linked with
trouble.
keepers, like Sam Johnston, for example, at time of recording.
Yeah, well, that would be a difficult one though, because he'd be coming in as backup. Because Hermansen's great. He's got everything a modern keeper needs. He's a great shot stopper, best XG conceded in the league last year. So yeah, he's great. He's brilliant. I think that we'll struggle to hang on to him after this year, to be honest with you. But yeah, the 4.0s are a worry. You know, Everson went out on loan last year and stuff. So yeah, that's a bit of a concern there. So maybe it might be good getting a bit of a backup. But
How good is Hermanson at things like coming and claiming crosses?
yeah, not bad, not
Right.
bad.
Okay.
Yeah, certainly a lot
I'm
better than
just trying to
Schmeichel was.
find why clearly there's some issues amongst the squad. And clearly, with obviously your backup goalkeeper being injured, you do need another goalkeeper. But some of the names that have been mentioned, I think for most neutrals, people, oh, if Leicester sign Johnston will go in the team, for example. And I was just trying to think, and obviously Herman's really good for Maresca's style. Could it be that a different manager? It's possible. Might not fancy him, mate.
Well, I mean, I'd be very surprised at that if I'm honest. I I think that I think he's got everything. Honestly, I mean, up until we heard that Johnson actually wanted to leave Palace, I was actually tempted to put him in. I know we're going to be conceding goals and stuff, but he's a brilliant shot stopper. And if we are going to pay it round at the back, he's very good with his feet. And yeah, he's one that's nailed 4.5 keeper, which a lot of them aren't really.
Is he
So,
though? He's easy if you're potentially going into the market.
well, I mean, that's the first I've heard about us going in for Johnston. Um, I'd be surprised at that. I think we've got
Okay.
weaknesses in other areas personally, but I guess we'll see on that. But yeah, for me, he's absolutely nailed.
Okay.
Well, I know you don't like nailed. First choice.
At least you didn't say essential, mate. How many Leicester players do you think you'll start with, mate?
Probably none. Probably none.
Can you
Yeah.
predict the game week 111 as it would stand?
Yes. Hermansen in goal, Ricardo at right back, Vestergaard and Faes, and probably Justin at left back, Winkson and Didi, Mavididi, Fatawu, and number 10 is a difficult position, actually. He'll either go with one of McAteer, Reed, Yeah, one of those two, possibly. I can't see anybody else playing there really, unless he shifts Mavididi inside and plays someone on the left back. I can't.
How could Smack a tear off the ball?
Yeah, very good. He's not really a number 10, but he's
So
probably the
you could do the defensive work around, say, like to track a Basuma, for
yeah,
example. Or
yeah,
okay,
yeah. He's very good actually. He was good for us in parts last year before he got injured. So and he's used him a little bit in there in pre-season, so that could be the answer short term, but he wouldn't be an answer long term, that's for sure. And then Daka up top. Well, unless Vardy's fit, which we hope.
yeah, and there's every chance that you're gonna add additions. I think we'd have to even accept, even if you haven't got a lot to spend, there's going to be some loan incomings and stuff like that. So there's certainly going to be some changes to this. I think with the two difficult home games you've got at the start, that largely makes you a skip. If people want Ollie Winks, who knows, you might buy Oliver Skip. If that makes people want Harry Winks, I don't have a problem with it. Aaron said he's Leicester's best 4.5, so yeah, crack on. And I suppose to clarify on the fours, I suppose it is Faes over Vestergaard if someone does want to make that choice, because something might change for Vestergaard, I guess. He probably is still Faes, right?
Quite possibly, yeah. Yeah, although Fast never really fills me with much confidence, to be fair. So
Okay.
I can see one of them getting shifted out of the team at some point in the season, if I'm honest.
Aaron, I wish you the very, very best of luck for the season, my friend. Any Leicester content or personal stuff you want to plug before we finish, my friend?
No, not particularly. Just patron, obviously, with you guys. So yeah, but no, I mean, I'm on Twitter at Aaron Lagor. Don't tweet as much as I really used to. Anyway, I'm going to be a bit more active in Slack, I think, this year. So,
Good
but
lad.
follow me on there for the odd tidbit.
Come and join us in the Leicester party. We're hopefully full on moaning and whinging will commence during the evening of Monday, August the 19th, mate. Right, we've got one more to go, and it's obviously a big one. We're heading up to Anfield for a conversation with Dan Lord on Liverpool. You can get a train straight to Liverpool, Aaron. I've checked every one and I haven't really checked this one. If you got to go to Birmingham New Street before you go to Liverpool, you
I think
probably have,
so.
haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to go through. I've realised this week, looking at some of these journeys, how lucky I am in London on some of these away journeys. I genuinely have really, really realised that. So you got to
Mm,
go kind of west to Birmingham to then go up north to Liverpool. All right,
mm,
that's where we're
mm.
going. Last correspondent week with Dan Lord on Liverpool. Aaron, thank you very much, mate. Maybe see
Thank
you in a
you.
few days. Cue music, please, man child.